So Pat, we have a few questions for you, and I'd like to start with this one. What has been the most exciting part of your research career?
When you ask me what is the most exciting part of my research career, it's a little bit like asking somebody, which is your favorite child, you know? And fortunately, I only have one child, so that one is easy for me to answer. But if you have more than one, this could be a difficult one, a tricky one to answer. But I think reflecting on what I've really enjoyed the most about being a researcher is learning. I think that the thing for me that makes research really fun and opportunity always to learn new things. And it's every part of the research process, from formulating questions, you know, what do I want to know? What do I want to learn? Figuring out how can I learn that, and so forth, to, you know, even more mundane things. For example, when Maureen McNichols and Joy Lynn and I were working on the paper about analyst impartiality, that paper, I mean, what I figured out is that we really were looking at timing as an issue. And once you start thinking about timing as an issue, it leads you immediately to hazard models. And to that point, I knew nothing about hazard models. I really had done nothing with them at all. I'd never taken any courses. I'd never done anything like that. But it gave me the opportunity to learn about a brand new thing that I'd never done before. And so, you know, dive in. I'm very fortunate that at that time I was already at the University of Waterloo, and we had, he's now retired as well, but we had like the guy, Jerry Lawless, here at Waterloo, who that's what he does, you know, that's his life work, over in the statistics, in the math faculty in statistics. And so I had, you know, great resources, and it was just, you know, okay, here's my sandbox. I get to learn.
So Pat, I know you've interacted with standard setters for a lot of your career, including as a member of the Academic Advisory Committee to the Canadian Accounting Standards Board. How has your research informed standard setting, and how do you think that other researchers can influence standard setting activities with their research?
Could take from what I tried to convey some understanding of the way that users, analysts in particular, but not only analysts, employ accounting information and what they need from the accounting information, as well as what they don't need from accounting information. You know, the notion that what we should be in the business of is providing trustworthy information for other people to hold accountable the managers who are managing the resources of the company. I had the great fortune of being involved with the Academic Advisory Council in the period, pretty long period, when the International Accounting Standards Board, as well as the FSB in the US, were rethinking their conceptual frameworks. Because I think it's in the concepts that academics really can provide the most help and assistance, can offer the most that would be useful for them to think about. I think you asked also how other people can get involved or something?
Yeah, how can they, I mean, I guess, should academics be involved with standard setters, and if so, you know, what are different ways they can play a role?
Yeah, I mean, for sure they should, because I believe that we have a perspective that's very useful. I think increasingly standard setters are understanding that fact that we have interesting things, interesting insights, and something to offer, and also appreciating how to and when to ask the questions.
Mm.
What we can do and have done, I think, is provide very early stage advice on what kinds of questions you want to be asking, providing pointers to where in the literature there is relevant information for them to understand.
Yeah, I think it can work both ways, which is positive. And my sense is that over time, standard setters are, and maybe this is in part because they talk about evidence-based standard setting. They do seem very willing to turn to the literature, the academic literature, and say, okay, well, what has been studied here, and how can that inform us? So, to the extent that we can help them understand and collate some of those findings, that can be a positive too.
I think that's the very important part, is just because, helping them to figure out what the takeaways are from the research that are relevant for their questions, for their interests.